from Lahore High Court Bar Association's committee. And in the presence of Mr. Justice Jawad Hassan, like judges, we can get more elaborated judgments for the protection of the rights of the animals. I hope, inshallah, after this successful seminars and conference, we will be getting more guidance and information for the protection of rights of the animals. I am grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to call to the stage Ms. Erin Hassan from Warwick University, who works the Pakistan Cricket Board, PSL Marketing, and is an animal lover, to say a few words. Thank you. Okay, no problem. So I would like to call Justice Jawad if he can just say a few words. This is going to proceed with his keynote afterwards. Thank you.
बहुत मेहरबानी है
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. All my distinguished foreign guests, I want to welcome you to Pakistan and thank you for coming in creating a history of 18th January to the first animal welfare conference happening in Pakistan. I was first acknowledge the President of the Bar, Alchemist, for doing this conference, and my message for 3 minutes will be, first, why are we here? I'll speak about the Pakistan Constitution and the role of Pakistan judiciary in protecting the environment and now also saving and giving rights to animals. And also the Pakistan judiciary is always leading in the world in the field of environment. Pakistan's judiciary stood, acknowledged, recognized in the world 30 years ago when Pakistan was the only country in the world which did not have the environmental right in the constitution. And Article 9, which says right to environment, was interpreted by Mr. Salim Akhtar in Shalada versus Babda 30 years ago in PLD 94 Supreme Court by stating that we have a right to environment. And I must say, the good news is Pakistan Constitution was amended last October and we have rights to a sustainable environment, Article 9A in our Constitution. It took us 30 years to achieve that, but today I'm addressing to the young generation to say, can we talk about the animals and their rights? Is Pakistan a good country to say that we are doing what we're doing for them while delivering some judgment which we will refer in the morning? I must say, when I was writing a judgment for a person with disability, Sana Khurshid case, PLD 2022, Lahore 346, I had to write, the people who can't come to justice, comma, justice will come to them. And people who can't speak the animals, courts will speak for you. And courts in the world are speaking for animals. Courts in Pakistan has spoken on animals. Courts in Pakistan have done a tremendous good work to speak about animals in Pakistan and which I cite at the end how they did it. But most importantly, as we all know, the Pakistan Constitution, they were speaking about Pakistan Constitution. It started with the word sovereignty. And I was not well, I could not come to this conference when Alchemist asked me, but today I've been speaking every twice a week, and once a month I go abroad. My daughter who's sitting here, she convinced me that you have to speak about animals. Everybody talks about animals, whether it's a pet animal, it's a home animal, it's a domestic animal, it's a rural animal, it's a wild animal, or endangered species. But before I say something, I must say Pakistan is a very lucky country. The largest office in the world of WWF is in Pakistan. Pakistan has a tremendous, it is the highest peak in the world to a low sea level. I'm wearing a tie which shows all the endangered species in the world, and Pakistan has 12 endangered species, from a turtle to a blind dolphin, from the leopard to a brown bear, from bucks to Hamara busted. Pakistan is full of the best international species in the world. That's why Pakistan has always been on forefront in international environmental scene. What I want to explain to you that animal rights came much later. 100 years ago, we used the same word under the heading of uses. 80 years ago, we changed the English terminology to negligence. 60 years ago, we used the word thought. 50 years ago, we used the word environment. Then we used the word environmental protection. Then we used the word environmental conservation, environmental management. But what happened to Pakistan, whether Pakistan wanted the rights for animals, it was that when the British were ruling us, we had a law called Wild Bird and Animal Act 2012. Then the change came. The world started talking about environment, the world started talking about species, the world started talking about flora and fauna, the world started talking about the issue of animals, and there how we celebrate that we have the first fundamental right, which are called the rights to live, the right to speak. Those rights were given to us by United Nations Declaration of Human Rights 1948. If you look at carefully, I always say in every speech, the entire fundamental rights given to us is a who trust. Last prophet's sermon was in 6 few words: right to born free, right to speak, right to religion, right to property. That was the sermon of Holy Prophet, and that was then translated by lots of countries, Petition of Rights, 1215, Charter of Democracy. People start talking about those rights, and the United Nations finally made the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights 1948, in 1966 Covenant. And when they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of UN, they had to acknowledge the Pakistan Constitution has rights to life, to speech, to religion, to movement, to property. That all rights are true translation of our last sermon of Prophet. This is, I say, in this field too, the lots of judgment in Pakistan are quoting the Prophet Hadith and verses from Quran. As Balkis was mentioning that when I was doing 32 years ago my Master in Environmental Law at Pace University, New York, my professor was Robert Kennedy Jr., who's now the right hand of Donald Trump, the professor who was the elect president. He taught us the right of fisheries. He studied at Pace University. He taught at Pace University. What we have learned, one is man is a trustee of Allah on this universe. The public trust doctrine of common law. These animals, these trees, this air, this water, this forest doesn't belong to me. It belongs to a future generation. Before I say something, I haven't started my talk yet. 2 months ago, a young 3-year-old girl came to my court. Her name was Amal Sukhera, daughter of Federal Cabinet Secretary Nawaz Sukhera. She said, I'm 3 years old. I cannot go to school. They are shut down this month. I cannot have to go to play in my garden. I cannot go out to celebrate my birthday. What shall I do? I live in the most polluted city in the world, Lahore. And I, in that day, held that you are lucky that Pakistan Constitution has been changed with Article 9A. But my question to her was, the question which I asked again, can animals come to court in Pakistan? Same question I asked that young 3-year-old girl. Fundamental rights are for citizens. Rights under the Constitution are for person, which is defined under Article 260. rights in the constitution is for individual, Article 10. You are not a person, you are 3 years old, you are not a child. This child is defined under Article 25A. That child means any person from 5 to 16 years of age have a free education in Pakistan. You are only 3 years old. Can you come to my court? That question I'll ask any animal who come to my court to protect his rights. The world has opened doors for animals. The first case in the world for animals was spotted owl case of California. An owl came to the court. He said, protect me, I live in a timber forest. And they are cutting this forest to Japan. But they said, we can make another forest. He said, my ecosystem is destroyed. Every animal has a habitat. Every species has an ecosystem. They held and stopped the entire timber. Snail darter came to Tennessee Valley and said, I am a small fish. They're making a dam and I'll die. Because if they make a dam, the water level will go up. I can't go too up for oxygen. I'll die. Stop, save it for me. Few birds. The whole world is full of animal movements now. When you look at the world, you can't wear a fur coat. They'll spray on it. You can't do anything in the world because people are looking at you carefully. The world has become PETA, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. One day, 30 years ago, before I went to USA, I went with a professor to a dinner. And somebody, excuse me, I'm wearing a rubber shoes. I'm wearing a rubber belt. I'm eating grass, no meat. When I came to this conference, I was not well. They said, sir, you will not get any food because we are serving vegetarians today. No animal in this conference. We should clap for them. That's the spirit to show we are not scorching animals. What is happening to the world? People stop hunting. The guard, the queen guard, the kingdom palace guards are feeling cold because they can't wear the black hat of the wolf, the bear hat. The world is changing now. So that is the world conference. I'll go back to what animal welfare came to the world when this international law came. The CITES Convention of Endangered Species, 1975. The Bonn Treaty of Migratory Species. The international law was coming in the world. Pakistan is a good country again. Pakistan signs and ratifies all the international treaties. Pakistan came back and amended its laws, not because of the international law, in some soft law too. It was the most remarkable document called the Declaration on Animal Rights, 1978. We have the whole laws in Pakistan. After that declaration, are all wildlife laws are all 78, 79, and 1979. What the word they're using? I say to the words, there are two kinds of judgments in Pakistan on animal rights. Before the Akal Milla's judgment of Kawan, and my judgment of Dad Zawar. And before that, the whole focus in Pakistan judgments were the word they used to protect, to preserve, to conserve, and to manage the wildlife. Judgment which the keys was referring to, the entire concept of Pakistani judgments in the world were all the Supreme Court judgment 2016 talking about stopping the hunting of Habara bustard, PLD 2016 Supreme Court 421, and there were judgments all mentioning the preservation, even the judgments of the Lahore High Court, which is the first judgment on the wildlife, was 1995 CLC 1730. But the division bench, exactly 30 years ago, they had the vision where the division bench is saying that whoever kills a bird or a creature bigger than that, forgo no gain shall be asked by God who's paying for his action. They're quoting the Hadith and Quran, as we say in that. And even the judgments of the Lahore High Court pioneered in the world by mentioning that it came to the first judgment in 93, 94, 95, and some judgments came. Now, what question to you should answer is, till Justice Akhtar Minallah took a very big case of Caravan the elephant in Islamabad High Court, there were no rights for animals to come to courts. Same question which I asked, can you come to my court? The word used under the constitution is Article 109, any party can come. Party doesn't mean to be a person, to be a child, to be a citizen, to be an individual in Pakistani constitution. So what happened was that some cases which came like this, what I will say, Justice Athar Manila had to come out with a judgment, and it's the first judgment in the world because Pakistan always stands first in the world on its jurisprudence. First judgment in the world was the Shahla Shah case, which says when you don't have a right to environment, right to life means right to environment. First Pakistan judgment is on the climate justice by Justice Masood Shah. Judgment to say we have a right to climate justice as well as Ghari case. First judgment I gave on climate mitigation 2019. We want to come out in the world where we live in a global world. Every constitution is the same. I represent Pakistan in COPs, COP 28, COP 29, and we always distinguish ourselves with the world judiciary by showing we have a proactive, strong, innovative judiciary in the world. They say, what is different in your judiciary than our judiciary? I say 5 things. 1, an innovative approach. We have the commissions appointed to deal with the technical issue of environment. Like in the case, Justice Abid Aziz Saab has mentioned a case of black bucks. The black bucks is the species in the area in Bahawalpur. The case was cited by Dr. Peterson appeared in that case, and he had even mentioned about black bucks which is like a black bear. He mentioned those, that's PLE 2020, Lahore, page 24, mentioning black buck deer as an endangered species, and the government should be protected that with the ecosystem it has. We always come out with a different approach. So what the approach of Pakistan was, when Justice Athar Manila had to write his judgment, it has to first justify, how can I write about an elephant in Pakistan? Can I do that as a judge? And if you read his judgment carefully, he mentioned all the laws, he mentioned the entire international jurisprudence, he mentions and what he picked up to strengthen that elephant to get the rights, he mentioned the constitutional guarantees in the constitution. Justice Manila mentions the approach of Pakistani courts protecting the rights and mentioning the declaration, international documents, because Pakistan constitution is very unique in the world. Our judgments are referred under Article 189, if the Supreme Court decides a question of law, or enunciate a principle of law, it shall be binding on the courts below. Same article below. Then Justice Manila finally held in his judgment that now stated the rights of animals in the light of the above. While mentioning certain sources of law, he then developed the jurisprudence that here is that animals have a life, have emotions, have feelings, they are creatures, they can be protected under the Constitution. That gave me a very easy way I will now say at the end. So that judgment was on hunting. And the Punjab government is doing a wonderful job. They are putting restriction on hunting of animals. They put a restriction on animal hunting under the electronic means. And the case came to me, a person was a hunter. Excuse me, I will not interfere in the prohibition of such electronic devices. And I had to write something about the animals and the birds. I seek my guidance from Justice Manila's judgment. Can I speak about animals in my judgment? And what I held in my principles was a principle I brought from called fair chase. Fair chase principle. The world looks up only one man. That's called Aldo Leopold. Aldo Leopold was the American Yale professor who talked about wild management of animals. The Leopold approach was that how do you deal hunting in a technical way? In my detailed judgment, I had to again, like Justice Manila, talk about international principles, mention Supreme Court judgments, And what I had to establish myself to protect that, I had to then use all these judgments with my analysis by writing carefully in the judgment is now being followed was that I need, when I developed myself, then I wrote that what principles of Supreme Court has done in Pakistan and India, it can safely be concluded that since the animals and birds have some motions and they feel pain and joy, and feel pain and joy, they have a legal right which also includes right to life and statutory duty of the state to ensure that these rights are not infringed in any manner. By developing these principles, I came to the conclusion of the judgments which is Muhammad Zawar PID 2022 Lahore 445 is for sake of reiteration, is again stressed and insisted the protection of wildlife animals from being hunted down in an unfair manner against the concept of fair chase. Principle is certainly a job which must be done by relevant government departments and by the court not only to safeguard and uphold the right of life to wild animals, but most importantly to preserve and protect the equilibrium of the ecosystem for sake of present and future generations of the country. Why I had to write future generations? When you read the judgments in the world, children have come out to a court, like Amar Sukera in my court. In Philippines, Opasa case becomes a doctrine. Young kids came to the Supreme Court of Philippines saying, we are 10 years old only. They're cutting the trees. We won't have our lands. This belongs to us. And Antonio Opasa, the lawyer, famously argued that case. And Supreme Court there developed the intergenerational rights. To conclude, that is the hadith of Huzur Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The environmental rights and all these rights have one principle, sustainable development. The intergenerational rights for the future generation of Pakistan. As a judge, I can only say that we protect people, we protect all kind of human beings coming to our court, which can speak in a court. Someone who's alive cannot speak. The world has spoken about them. The NGOs have spoken about them. The activists have spoken about them. The first country, USA, spoke about them in the spotted owl case. The few birds case. Various cases in the world are coming out from the aces of airs and the name after those animals. And surprisingly, when you read about spotted owl case, and actually owl came to the court and spoke. Parrots came to the courts and spoke. They are as intelligent as we are. To conclude my own thing, that we are the trustee of God on this universe. When I took my oath under the Constitution to preserve and protect the rights of people of Pakistan, that includes the right to animals too, based on the judgments of Pakistan. Not as a human being, for my ethics, a judge is called loco parentis. I am in the place of a parent. I am instead a parent of a court, of the subject in my court. And if anybody has approach of loco parentis on animals, they speak for them. They protect them. Tomorrow, Pakistan is a country which has an excellent name of its judgments. Pakistan has a great reputation internationally. Pakistan is a sovereign state because everything starts with one word, the name of Allah. In my constitution, it starts with the name of Allah. If you read the constitution, it says, whereas the sovereignty of the universe belongs to Almighty Allah alone, and the sacred trust for the will and people of Pakistan. The name of Allah has been mentioned in the constitution. It starts with the Bismillah Rahman Rahim. And I say to you all, protect these animals, and we will always be there. My doors are open for those who can't speak. My doors are open for those who have no one to go, because there's a duty on me, because Article 4 says, it's an inalienable right of every citizen to be treated as per law. and no action determined to life, liberty be taken. And but that casts a duty on me, it says an inviolable obligation to a state to obey the constitution and the law. And that is a duty for me to do for my country and the people of Pakistan. Pakistan, finally. Thank you.
Oh.